Hello everyone. Let's proceed on to the chapter 5 Legislature of NCERT Class 11 Political Science. The name of the book is Indian Constitution at Work. Why do we need a parliament? So legislature is not merely a lawmaking body. Lawmaking is one of the functions of legislature. It is the center of all democratic process. So let's get an understanding of what this passage means. So legislature is a house that legislate, and legislate literally means to make law. Now let's consider a hypothetical situation in which this particular circle is a group of certain people, and now there are many geographical variations. So because of geographical variations there are many cultures. So diversity of culture is there, diversity of language, of lifestyle, of living, food practices, customs, rituals. So all in all, we have four such groups, four such diverse groups. And now all these groups, they have come together and they decide that it will be okay that we should have a common set of law to deal with the common issues that crisscross across all cultural boundaries. So what they are talking about, common grounds. So what they are talking about are the situations or the issues that that are common irrespective of their cultural background. So here all the common issues, they known as popular. It means related to people. So though all common issues, they may be called popular, and to deal with such issues we need to deal with a science that addresses all such common issues, and then we need a group of people, a group of representatives who can deal with these common issues, who can talk among themselves, who can use their um, the best of their judgments, who can think both horizontally and vertically and laterally as well, and then they can arrive at those common grounds or those common set of law which are acceptable by all such groups. And let's say the four group I am talking about, one is a Kashmiri group, I mean a Himalayan group. Other group is from desert. Then the third group, it is from peninsula, and the fourth group, it is from coastal areas. So all in all, we have four such groups, and since all these four groups, they are distinguished by their respective geography. So in short, they are likely to have different culture. And now four such group. Now we know that if cultures are different, everything that we read, everything that form the essential components of a culture, they are likely to they are bound to be different. So lifestyle, food practices, clothing, housing, then even working pattern, occupations, language, customs, rituals. norms, festivals, all are bound to be different. And it will be wiser for any democratic or any government not to stifle with the cultural elements, since even if the people themselves, even if the all the four people willingly come out in favor of a common culture, it will not happen and it will not be adjustable. A one policy or one size fits all policy will be detrimental. Uniformity will be an antagonist for the general upkeep or general welfare. Let me explain how. Just take one such element. So, let's take food. So now food, it is directly dependent on geography, and people are going to eat a thing that is that they can grow, that they can nourish, and they can relish as a staple, and any edible product can be relished as a staple, can be used as a staple diet only when it is found in abundance. So if Kashmiri or Himalayan people, if they are fed on a diet, let's say wheat has become a common diet, wheat has been declared a common cultural diet of Indian subcontinent. Now wheat, it is difficult to grow wheat in the Himalayan regions. And then even if terrace farming or any new agriculture engineering methods, they may help in somehow growing wheat on terrace slope or even the spare areas or even mountainside and the rain shadow regions. But still, will that diet be compatible with the energy need or the survival needs of Himalayan people? No, I doubt that. It is because wheat, it is a diet of people from plains, people who can adjust a moderate range of temperature. So people of plain, they are generally the temperature, it goes from 5 degrees centigrade to 43 degrees centigrade on an average. So this is the temperature difference which under which they can live, under which they have worked their whole life. And this temperature is also suitable for a moderate diet, a diet which is not rich in um, fat, a diet which is not rich in other elements, according to Ayurveda, those diets which have uh, the essence of heat, so they are not likely to feed the plain people. They are not likely to feed on hot diet throughout the year, because summer in plain, it breaches the normal threshold, 40 degrees centigrade. And if any group of people, if they adjust themselves to, if they started eating any hot diet on any scorching scorchingly hot day, it will be not adjustable to their body. Since we are homeotherm, we need to maintain a constant body temperature throughout our body. And if it is already 40 degree outside, and then we are taking a diet which is hot by nature, and such as mostly the meaty diet or fatty diet, and such diet that is full of animal protein and rich in spices, and it is hot by temperature as well. And if we gulp down and if we feed on such diet, it will be detrimental to our own health. It is detrimental to the overall health of that community. And if Himalayan people, they are fed the diet of wheat, this diet will not serve their dietary needs. It will not serve any purpose. They need something which can keep their body hot at that temperature, because Himalayan temperature, it generally goes from minus 6 degrees centigrade to at most 30 degrees centigrade. The temperature from winter to summer. So their temperature is already on the extreme level, on the lower margin, and a wheaty diet is not going to provide the required nutrients and the required heat that is needed in such a low temperature. Minus 10 degrees is really low temperature, and to exist in such temperature, you need diets that are hot in nature and essence, such as meaty diet, or diet that consists of animal protein and many spices, the spices that are um, that need to be taken in large amount, all the warm spices. So here, a national diet, a common cultural diet will not be possible. And the same way, wheat for a desert person. And now in desert, similar thing happen. Millets can grow because water availability is not there, and wheat, a diet which need 220 days of sunshine along with 7 rounds of water. 7 rounds of water. All the farmer they know it. So desert is a area which is an area which is devoid of abundance of water. Water is there, but scarcity will be there. Water is not available in such quantity, and then to grow wheat in desert, it will not be possible on a large scale. Then their nature has provided desert people with millets, with coarse grain, excuse me, coarse grain which can grow with minimum water. Mostly this millets, bajra, pearl millet, and here as well, the a common cultural diet will not be possible. Now take the example of coastal area. So coastal area, these are the area which have abundant water, and wheat specifically has a growing season. Especially, it is grown after when monsoon has withdrawn from Indian subcontinent after the festival of Diwali, this is why it is known as a Kharif crop. So, no, not Kharif, it's a Rabi crop because it is harvested in March around the festival of Holi. So, wheat, a Rabi crop, it has specific time, November to March, and along with that, it also needs some other temperature conditions. And in coastal area, one thing that they have abundance of water, and then the soil, it will not be compatible for growing wheat, but rice can be grown there because rice is a water intensive crop that needs a lot of water, a lot of back-breaking work. But coastal area, they can afford it. They can afford the toil, they can afford the pain, but they also relish the harvest, which gives them abundant supply of rice throughout the world. And if um, for general information, rice is the number one cereal that is consumed on a global scale. All right. So my point is, a common culture is not possible, and all such rulership, whether it is a dictatorship, autocracy, monarchy, or democracy, they will survive only if they do not stifle with natural or stifle with nature. And Culture itself, it is a product of nature, a coping mechanism. Then, all in all, Himalayan, desert, peninsula, and coastal plain. So now, whichever government wants to deal with these people, the common element they can be found out among themselves that do not crisscross against the culture or stifle with culture in any way possible. And the common way, such as the legal, all the legal elements, legality, such as both civil and criminal matters, other than the infrastructure needs, because infrastructure it is road, they are not dependent on culture. So infrastructure of road, railway, airports, waterway, hospitals, education. So all such elements, all common elements, they can be found out, they can be debated, they can be legislated upon. So this is how democracy works. So in democracy, we do not have any central authority. People from all different voices. So here, instead of um, eulogizing or instead of concentrating more on culture, I can say we have a lot of voices, a lot of different voices. So all such voices, they can come together and common ground, they can be found out, and those common ground, they can be dealt in a legislative way. Since spoken words do not stand scrutiny, spoken words can change, but written words and written anything that is written with the consent and agreement after much debate, those written words they are considered sanctimonious. It means those written words they have been agreed upon, and this is why we have a written constitution. Then the people who make such a law, they are known as legislator. We call them representatives, but when they are dealing with making laws, they are called legislator. And when they sit together, the place is known as legislature. And in Indian case, government, it is divided into government of India. It is divided or it is rested upon three strong pillars. First one is legislature, second one is executive, and third one is judiciary. This is the distribution of power on horizontal line. Now let's come back to the chapter. So Parliament is not just a law-making body, it is also center of all democratic processes. So actions such as walkouts, protests, demonstration, unanimity, consent, cooperation, all such are tools to arrive at the common grounds. Because everyone, they want to squeeze as much as they can from the common elements or from the common talks. Since it is a large bargain and everyone is representing their own voice. So in that same sense, bargaining is necessary. You need to squeeze out as much as possible. And this squeezing out or this grand bargain, it is impossible without many such trivials and tantrums. So those tantrums or those tools that are necessary. Then legislature, it also helps people in holding the representative accountable. So what happens is that legislature, you can say legislature is the representative of different voices. Those voices can be many. Those can be cultural voices, those can be indigenous voices such as scheduled tribes, those can be voices of scheduled caste, women, minorities, those can be voices of corporates, Those can be voices of students and unemployed. Those can be voices of LGBTQ community. Those can be voices of human rights, of industrial section, of communists, of social or civic groups. So those voices can be many, and whoever represent them, they will represent them with the best possible manner, because they have been given this, they have been tasked with uh, uh, this business to address their concern. Now, representative, all such voices, they cannot be given a free hand um to work on themselves or to work by themselves. And all such voices, when taken together, they form a large constituency, a large number of people. So all in all, we have 545 such people known as parliamentarians. So we have 545 different voices, and all such voices, they cannot be given a free hand, or they cannot be given the reign of government to run the country according to their whims and wishes, which will be, if given, it will be chaotic, since many of these ideas, they will be different. If you take the interests of corporate lobby, their interest, it will be different from, let's say, the workers. So here, corporates versus worker, both of them, they have opposite needs. Let's say it's a debate between capitalism and socialism. So both are at poles apart, and the legislative business, this body, it is given the task to arrive at a common ground which is acceptable to both the parties. So my point is, these uh, these different voices, and sometimes the voices are contradictory. If they are not given the reins of government, then how they are going to run the country? Then here, constitution and the members of constituent assembly, they have arrived at this mechanism in which parliament or legislature, it has been given the authority to make law, and executive, a body that is separated out of legislature. Right now we have the rule of majority. So whichever government forms the majority, it sends 15% of its legislator in the executive branch, and those executive, they are known as political executive. They form ministries, and they are assisted by permanent executives, also known as civil servants. So this is how executive branch is run. So mostly it is the ministers that run the country. And now those ministers which belong to the majority section of legislature, they cannot be given free hand even if they form the majority, because ultimately this country, it belongs to people. It does not belong to any political party or any shade or any group of opinions. So here, legislature, they keep tight control on executive. So this is why it is said that the other business of legislature, it is to control executive, and executive, they are accountable to the legislature for their actions. And India too, the cabinet, it initiates policies, sets the agenda for governance, and carried them through. And this has led some critics to remark that parliament has declined. Cabinet, is the mini version of all the ministries. So we have seen that Parliament, it sends 15% of its legislature, 15% of its legislators, parliamentarians, to form the executive branch, the political executive, known as ministers. And there are various kinds of minister: the cabinet minister, the central minister, the state minister, the minister in charge of extra portfolios, so, and the minister of states. So all in all those ministers, which may be around 80 to 85, out of those ministers, a small group of ministers, or small group of wise and trusted ministers, they form another group which is known as cabinet. So this cabinet is a strong lobby, strong group, mostly of 5 to 10 senior ministers, and it is said that all the decisions are initiated, done and executed by the cabinet only. And it also being criticized that the role of cabinet has increased on the detriment of parliament. But any leader with the howsoever large majority or howsoever strong support of parliamentarians, he or she has to face the parliament and answer to the satisfaction of parliament. So this is how legislature controls the executive, and parliament, it is an open forum of debate. It is the most representative of all organs of government, and it is power to choose and dismiss government. So parliament has the ultimate power, even if executive they runs the dice, but the ultimate control, it rests with parliament, because it can dismiss any government if and the grounds are many. We will see them later. Then why do we need two houses of parliament? The term parliament, it refers to national legislature, and when there are two houses, it is known as bicameral legislature. So our parliament, it is supported by three pillars: first Lok Sabha, second Rajya Sabha, and then president. So we have two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, which are, in the English version, it is Council of State, and this is House of People. Since our legislature at union level, it is composed of two houses, it is known as bicameral legislature. Then the constitution, it has given the states the option of establishing either a unicameral or bicameral, the states as a unit. So not all these states they have bicameral legislature. Only 4 states now have bicameral legislature: Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Jammu Kashmir. It has been devolved of its status as a state in 2019. Then why do we need two houses? Because countries which are large in size and countries which are much diverse, they usually prefer to have two houses. Then bicameral legislature, it also makes it possible to have every decision reconsidered. And why is that so? Because the legislative business, the legislation, the actual making of law or any policy, it is a process oriented game. So in which Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, the process is, most of the bill, they proceed in this way: first house, then it goes to second house, and finally it goes to president. So this is the usual procedure that is employed in most of the bills. And the first house, it can be many, it can be any, Either it can be Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. It's only in money bill and financial bill that Lok Sabha, it is the prerogative of Lok Sabha to initiate such bills. Other than that, any house can initiate any bill, and usually this is the general idea of process, that any bill, any idea of legislation, bill is generally the idea of law under debate, and if it passed, it becomes a law. So until it is signed by president, it is given assent by president, it stays as a bill. And bill is nothing but the idea of law, the law under debate. So any bill, after initiation, it goes through this procedure, and the second utility of having a bicameral legislature is that uh, any law, any bill, it will be considered twice. So let's say first house initiated a bill on, let's say, taxation. Now this taxation, it is you can consider a matter which have grave consequences and an enveloping effect on all the people. So this matter, it cannot be done in hasty manner. It should be reconsidered. It should be considered many times. It should be debated upon. But if we have only one house, and that house, Lok Sabha, it controls all the power, since people are directly elected there. And if by direct election any majority has come, they it is it is always said that power corrupts. So because of corruption of power, they may go through such bills in a hasty manner, where, under which cabinet takes all the decision and it is passed in hasty manner, and president, who has to work on the advice of council of minister, he is bound to consider advice. So that hasty manner and the process of parliament will make such ill thought or such half cooked idea to become a law. And to stop that, or to add and stop a, or not just stop a, to add a reconsidering idea between the whole process, second house, it comes to rescue. So any bill, it will be reconsidered, even if the first house, a particular party enjoys the majority, and the bill has been passed without any debate, without any reconsideration, it will have to go to the other house. And now the other house, it will debate on the idea. It will take time, and it may follow the due procedure. It may send the matter to parliamentary committee. It may involve people and many different shades of voices in the discussion. So this dilation, this time dilation, helps in making strong laws, or helps in making good laws. And that's why second house, it is not also known as dilatory chamber. So it makes um, every decision, every bill to be considered twice. So acts and double check on every matter. Then we'll first talk about Rajya Sabha. So both the houses, they have different bases of representation. Rajya Sabha, or Council of State, it represents the states of India. This is an indirectly elected body, and resident of state, they elect member to state legislative assembly, and those elected members of state legislature, they elect the members of Rajya Sabha. So the election of Rajya Sabha. First, who are the members of Rajya Sabha? So members of Rajya Sabha, they are elected by state MLAs. First, then these members, they represent states. Unlike the House of People or Lok Sabha members, which represent their own constituencies, Rajya Sabha members, they represent the states from which they are elected. And then the method of election, it is indirect, known as proportional representation by methods of single transferable vote. And I have explained both the concept in earlier chapter. So here, the members of Rajya Sabha, they address the needs of a state. So there are two different principles of representation in second chamber. First, to give equal representation to all the parts of a country, irrespective of the size of population. So here, um, this paragraph is talking about why do we have proportional representation or indirect election for the members of Rajya Sabha, and how the proportion of the members it is calculated. So one basic idea is given that all the parts, all the different states, they will be given, they may be given, they might have been given equal power, but this could not have worked since not all these states in India are of equal size and population. So let's say a small state such as Sikkim, Goa, other northeast states. So they are smaller in size and the population is also less. And when compare these states with the giants such as UP, Maharashtra, MP, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, so giving equal representation to all will not have served its purpose. Since then, the the share of Rajya Sabha members to the respective population it would have become asymmetrical. Since Sikkim having very small population will have more number of Rajya Sabha members than UP which has around 200 million people. So to remove this asymmetry, Rajya Sabha members they have been given mm, here it is not written. Alright, I'll explain. So Rajya Sabha members they have been given the seats or proportion seats in proportion to the population. So this would have provided a symmetrical distribution since if the state is large in terms of size and population, it will be given more Rajya Sabha seats, and if state is smaller, it will be given less seats. And here the situations are the second method which could have been employed is that regions or parts having larger population will have more representatives. So that was the idea that has been followed in Indian Constitution. So in USA, every state has equal representation in the Senate. So small state they would have same representation as the larger states. But the system of representation adopted for Rajya Sabha it is different. And the number of members to be elected from each state has been fixed by fourth schedule of the Constitution. So Uttar Pradesh with a population of 200 million gets equal seat to that of Sikkim, whose population is 5.7 lakh. So this was the situation, this could have been situation if we followed the first method of giving equal representation to all states irrespective of their size and population. Then the present situation is Uttar Pradesh, it sends 31 members to Rajya Sabha, while small states such as Sikkim, it has one seat. So this may seem asymmetrical, but if we take population into account, it becomes easily understandable. Then members of Rajya Sabha, they are elected for 6 years and they can be re-elected. And one of the continuing factor of Rajya Sabha is that not all the members they retire or complete at the same time. So every one-third member of Rajya Sabha they retire at after every 2 years, and after every 2 years, one-third get elected. So the seat filling mechanism it is divided into Rajya Sabha seats. So all in all, there are 230 seats in Rajya Sabha plus 12. So there are 233 seats in Rajya Sabha and 12 nominated members. And here there are two different conditions. First, term of every Rajya Sabha legislator, it is for 6 years. Then, not all the members they retire at the same time, such as in Lok Sabha, in which every parliamentarian he is elected, he or she is elected for 5 years, and after 5 years, whole Lok Sabha is dissolved, and election has to take place for all the 543 seats. So, in case of Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, all the members they complete their term at the same time. But in case of Rajya Sabha, even if they have term of 6 years, one-third of members they retire after 2 years. So in short, Rajya Sabha elections they happen every 2 years for one-third member. One-third people retire and one-third are elected again. So this election of Rajya Sabha it keeps going on after every 2 years, and whoever is elected he will have to complete he will complete the term 6 year. And this whole scenario, if not understood, let me explain this way. Let's say initially Rajya Sabha it has initially 6 members. Now in the beginning the term of first two members it was for 2 years. The term of next two members it was for 4 years, and then term of next two member it was for 6 years. And this could have been compensated if they have been re-elected. This was undertaken to so that this mechanism of one-third retirement at every 2 years and overall term of 6 years, both of these ideas could be equated easily. So this at the first batch it was given shape this way. Now then again after 2 years election happened, and we we were left with these members. So these 3 and 4 with 2 years of term, and these 5 and 6 with 4 years of term. Then two new members, the initial members, they have been re-elected again, and now they have the terms of 6 years. So this was the step 2. Now at the third step, after 2 years, elections happened again. These members they got retired. Then we had 5, 6, 1, 2, and 3, 4. So 5, 6 they have 2 years of term left, 1, 2 who have been elected again re-elected for 6 years. Now they have 4 years, and 3 and 4 they have been given chance again for a full 6-year term. Now the situation, the process, it will complete its complete the equation in the manner prescribed by Constitution. After 2 years, 5 and 6 will retire. Now 1 and 2 they will have 2 years of term left. 3 and 4 they have 4 years of term left, and now we have new members A and B. They will have 6 years, and again these people will retire. Their place will be filled by some other member, and this was how the situation is going on. Every 2 years, one third member they retire, and their seats are filled by another member who complete 6 years. But after 2 years, another such members are there whose terms reduced by 2 years. So anybody who is on completion, so let's say after 2 years these members will retire. But after its 2 years, which counts to 4 years. So after 4 years, these will retire. In the first case, after 2 years, when for first and second retire, their place it will be filled by C and D, who will complete 6 years. And after 2 years of first and second, which means after 4 years of first and second, 3 and 4 also complete their term, and their place it will be filled by E and F. So this is how every 2 years one third are retired and one third are elected. And this is how Rajya Sabha is a chamber which never dissolves. It is a continuous chamber, unlike Lok Sabha, which get dissolved after 5 years. Let's have a look at the status of bicameralism in Germany. So Germany has bicameral legislature, which means there are two houses, and the houses they are known as Federal Assembly, which is elected by people, known as Bundestag, and Federal Council, Bundesrat. So both Bundestag and Bundesrat, they form two houses of Germany. So this assembly, which is directly elected by people, is elected by a complex system that combines both direct and proportional representation for a period of 4 years. Then the 16 federal states of Germany, they are represented in Federal Council. So if you compare the German legislature with the Indian one, Bundestag, the Federal Assembly, it is equal to Lok Sabha in India, and Bundesrat, it is equal to Rajya Sabha. So 16 federal states, they elect 69 seats for Bundesrat, and they are divided among different 16 states on the base of population. And according to German law, all the members of one state they have to vote as a block. And the Bundesrat, or the Rajya Sabha of Germany, they do not vote on all legislative initiative, but all the policy area on which federal states have concurrent power. So unlike the case of India, the Rajya Sabha of Germany, or Bundesrat, they do not vote on all the legislative initiative that has been initiated by Lok Sabha of Germany, which is known as Bundestag, or the Federal Assembly. So the Bundesrat, it can intervene, or it can interfere in on those matters only in which the federal state they have concurrent power, and but it can also veto such legislation. And it is never fully, Rajya Sabha is never fully dissolved. This is why it is called a permanent house. So one advantage is that even when Lok Sabha is dissolved, so Lok Sabha can be dissolved If it completes 5 years, then it can be dissolved on the death of Prime Minister. And the third matter, when no confidence motion, if it has been initiated and passed. So in all three situations, Lok Sabha can be dissolved. In that case, country may become devoid of any legislative business. So to ensure continuity of legislative business even under such a pressing circumstances when urgent business need to be conducted, Rajya Sabha, it comes to rescue. And apart from 233 elected members of Rajya Sabha, 12 members are nominated by the President who have made their mark in the fields of literature, art, social science. And let's have a look at Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha and the State Legislative Assembly, they are directly elected by people. And for this purpose, especially for the Lok Sabha election, entire country it is divided into territorial constituency of roughly equal population, and one representative it is elected from each constituency via universal adult suffrage. So at present there are 543 such constituency, and this number it has not changed since 1971. Lok Sabha it is elected for a period of 5 years, which is maximum, and maximum here in sense means that Lok Sabha it can be dissolved before the term, and I have given the various conditions upon which Lok Sabha can be dissolved, and Lok Sabha can be dissolved if no party or coalition can form the government, or if the Prime Minister advises the President to dissolve the Lok Sabha and hold fresh elections. Then let's have a look at the functions of Parliament. So first set of functions are legislative. So Parliament it enacts legislation for country, and despite being the chief lawmaking body, Parliament often merely approve legislation. So the actual task of drafting the bill it is performed by bureaucracy under the supervision of minister concerned. Then no major bill is introduced in the Parliament without the approval of cabinet. So and members other than ministers can also introduce bill, but such bill they will not have the chance of being passed without the support of government. So the issue here is that is being talked here is about the majority party that holds many legislator under its thumb in Lok Sabha. So is holding legislature under thumb. It may be it may not represent the actual case. So in simple, it is the Lok Sabha that is directly elected by people. So the popular will it is being represented popular will it is being represented in the form of Lok Sabha, because all the Lok Sabha parliamentarians they are directly elected by people, and people know them, and they directly represent people. So in such a case they hold more power and more sway, and if any party has got majority, so it is assumed that the majority party it will it can pass the major matter since it enjoys majority support. And when a party has got majority, then its cabinet, the group of most powerful minister, they are also going to hold much sway in the working of or in the functions of the Lok Sabha. So that's why it is written here that no major bill it can be introduced in the parliament without the approval of cabinet. So any person, any members of Lok Sabha can initiate a bill, but since passage of any bill, it depends on the number of votes gathered or garnered by any such initiative, and such numerical supremacy it can be possible only if the said bill it is initiated by or it is acceptable to the majority. So that's why the cabinet bill they get passed easily, while non-member bill, non-ministerial bill, they have less chances of passing since they do not have the majority. Then the other function of parliament, it is the control of executive and to ensure the accountability. So parliament it has ensured the vertical distribution of power among the three organs of government. So this ensuring it sees to it that executive it does not overstep its authority and it remains responsible to the people who have elected them. So it's the parliamentarian, all the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they have been elected, and the there are other members of parliament, all 543, who have been directly elected by people. So the government, especially the executive, political executive branch, around 80 to 85 ministers, or in short, the 10 cabinet ministers. So those 10 cabinet ministers, including prime minister, they are also responsible to the will of country, the popular will, the wishes of people. Then the financial function. So government needs money on various matters, and this money it is being raised through taxation. And in a democracy, legislature control taxation and the way in which money is used by government. So if the government of India, the executive branch, it proposes to introduce any new tax, it has to get the approval of Lok Sabha. And financial power of parliament, it also involves granting of resources to the government to implement its program. And the government, it has to give an account of its expenditure and the wherewithal to raise new taxes or new form of resources. Government has to give all the bureau of income and expenditure every year in a form of budget and annual financial statement. This is the second important function of parliament, and government of India, the political branch, it is liable, it is accountable to people in this way that they have to show their income, their expenditure, and any new way of raising the resources such as taxation. It has to be conveyed to all the members of parliament, and it has to answer to people why it needs such a resources and from where such taxation can be levied without proving a burden on people. Then the third function is about representation. Parliament, it represents diverse and divergent view of different regional, social, economic, religious groups. Then it is uh, it is the highest forum of debate. So and it has no limitation on its power of discussion. Members they are free to speak on any matter without fear, which is why it Parliament has been given the privilege that members they need to speak without any fear or favor. Then comes the fourth function, constituent function. Parliament has the power to discuss and enact changes to the constitution. And this constituent power of both the houses are similar. All constituent constitutional amendment they have to be approved by special majority of both the houses. Constitutional amendment means to change the constitution. So sometimes it happens that some law which have been enacted in the period 1946 to 1949, and many of the provisions of constitution, they have been enacted with or added with much forethought and foresight. But time is dynamic, and sometimes even with the best efforts of the members of Constituent Assembly, some provisions they may not stand the test of time. The changing time, it may needs changes to the way we live, to changes the way we are being governed, and in that case, changes to the constitution can also be favored. And such changes, they are known as constitutional amendments. Then the next function is electoral function. Electoral function means Parliament, it elects both President and Vice President of India. Then judicial function, that Parliament, it considers the removal of President, Vice President and judges of High Court and Supreme Court. Let's compare the power of Lok Sabha to that of Rajya Sabha. First, Lok Sabha makes law on matters that are included in union list, concurrent list, and can introduce and enact money and non-money bills. So let's see what those lists are. So according to Constitution of India, the powers, they have been shared. That's why India is called a federal state. Federal means an organization in which power sharing is done both vertically and horizontally. So horizontal distribution of power is in terms of distribution of power between sharing of power between three wings of government: legislature, executive, and judiciary. And the vertical distribution of power is between different layers of government. So at the apex, it is union government, then on the regional level it is state government, and then at the most basic level it is local government. And the powers, it has been shared according to needs and jurisdiction of each of these spheres. So now the Constitution of India, it has talked about two levels only: union level and the state level. So, and it is necessary because the union government, it can deal with the matters that are of national importance, and regional powers, they know their locality, they know their regions, and they know the issues that are region specific. So any national policy will not work on regions, because regions are also diverse on many matters, on socio-economic factors, on distribution of mineral wealth, so which can be clubbed into geographical factors, where they can be distinguishing in terms of cultural issues. So there are some issues that are in the domain of state. So state are best placed to deal with regional issues, and the constitution, it has shared power known as subject between these levels. So those power that are directly under the control of union government are placed in those subjects, they are placed in union list. Then those subjects which state is capable of handling, they are placed under state list. Then there are matters which can be handled by both, in which both have parallel powers. Those matters have been listed in concurrent list. And then there are some matters which may arise due to exigencies of time, which may arise in future, which may arise due to the changing dynamics of time. So all such futuristic subjects, they have been placed under residuary list. So these are the four lists: union list, state list, concurrent list, and residuary list. And the powers that has been placed in each of them, they are known as subjects. So Lok Sabha, it can deal with powers that are under union and concurrent list. And the second power is about money bills. So on the matters of non-money bills, both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha have equal powers. But Lok Sabha, it has exclusive power over money bills. So what money bills are? So on the basic, we know that this group of people, it has been divided into multiple constituencies on the basis of population and various other criteria. And these groups, these are known as constituency. Each constituency, it elect one leader. So parliament, it is, you can say, a cohort of people's voice. As these many people, or large number of people, they cannot sit together. So each of them, according to some classification or criteria, they are sending one representative. So if that one representative, it represent the whole constituency. So which means all these 543 members plus 2 nominated. So all these 545 members, they are likely to represent the whole of India. And in that case, these 543 people which are directly elected, they are people themselves. They are the faces of people. And since it is their domain, it is their prerogative to run the government. So all the matters of money, all the financial matters, which include taxation, it's how taxation are levied and appropriated. It means the mode of taxation and the mode of collection. Then all the income and expenditures, the regulation of budget, all such matters, all such financial matters, they can be clubbed into money bills. And since the members of Lok Sabha, they are directly elected by people, or they are in some the faces of people, so they are the people who should be given the responsibility to handle these money bills or these financial affairs. So that's why Lok Sabha, it has exclusive power over money bills. Then Lok Sabha, it approves proposals for taxation. Let's see its comparison from the powers of Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha, it can consider and approves non-money bills and suggest amendment to money bills. So since I have said Lok Sabha enjoys exclusive power over money bills, which means Rajya Sabha, it cannot initiate any money bill since it is not directly elected. And then we know that the procedure of the legal procedure of enacting a law, passage of a law, it it has to go through both the houses. Then it is assented by president, and which led to its enacting into a law. So since the passage of bill requires both the houses, money bills also are transferred to Rajya Sabha once they have been done away with the proceedings of Lok Sabha. Now Rajya Sabha, since it does not have much power over money bills, so it can suggest recommendations or amendments to money bills which may or may not be considered by Lok Sabha. Then the Second power of Lok Sabha, it approves proposals for taxation, budget and annual financial statement, which is not under the domain of Rajya Sabha. But Rajya Sabha, it can approve constitutional amendments. The third power of Lok Sabha, it controls the executive by asking questions, supplementary questions, resolutions, motions, and through no confidence motion. And Rajya Sabha also enjoys similar power. So let's have a look at parliamentary control of executive. Parliamentary control over executive. So executive here, I mean government of India, which we call government of India. But in reality, executive, it is formed by two persona, two group of people. One is political, the second one is permanent. So the political group, it is composed of ministers who have been elected out of the members of parliament, those members that have been elected by people, and those members, they can become minister when they enjoy majority in Lok Sabha. Then these minister, they handles various ministries. Then each ministry, it is manned by one or a couple of ministers. But such a vast ministry, they are run by permanent executive known as public servant, and these are the public servants for which you are preparing for: IES, IPS, Central Secretariat Services, Group C and Group D services. So all such services, Group B, Group C, Group E, all such services, they come under public servant. And the most coveted posts, Indian administrative officer, they are the one who usually became the secretaries to government of India, secretaries to ministries, as well as government of India. Now, how does Parliament as a whole, which is composed of both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they put control over executive? So this control, it is done by asking questions. So in parliamentary session, whenever parliament is in session, there are various rounds of questions, such as 0 hour, question hour, asking supplementary questions. So all the three, they are related to asking question to various ministers about policy issue, about the direction India is taking, about the decisions they have made, about any issues that may have arisen. So most the other parliament, the non-minister parliamentarians, they ask questions to such minister, and the minister must reply to them since they are accountable to parliament. Then comes no confidence motion. So the idea here is that any political executive or any group of minister, any council of minister, COM. So this council of minister, it is the body which runs the government, and these minister, this council of minister, it was at one time those parliamentarians that have been elected by people. Now these elected parliamentarians are those which enjoy majority in Lok Sabha. Since they enjoy majority, these people, they come forward in the form of a council of ministers which is headed by a PM. So prime minister who takes the first oath and then he decides which minister gets which ministry. So this portfolio distribution, it is done by prime minister. So and all of this, it depends on majority. As long as particular council of ministers it enjoy majority in Lok Sabha, it will stay in power up to maximum 5 years. But before that, if the parliament, if it believes that a certain council of minister it does not enjoy confidence of Lok Sabha member, then it can start a no confidence motion. So why this motion? Parliamentarians, they are asking the particular council of minister to prove its majority, and if majority they vote in favor of council of minister, it stays in power, which means no confidence motion has failed. But if most of the majority of parliamentarians they vote against council of minister, in such a case no confidence motion has passed. It means parliament has shown that it has no longer confident about the working of council of minister, and passage of which dissolves the present council of minister. There are various such motions, and we will talk about them in next upcoming chapters. Then it amends the constitution, it approves the proclamation of emergency, and it elects the president and vice president, removes the judges and judges of Supreme Court and High Court, and both these powers, all the three powers, the amendment of constitution, the approval of proclamation of emergency, and election and removal of all these dignitaries, these powers are concurrent between both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. But the special edge here is that Rajya Sabha it participates in election of president, vice president, but it can alone initiate the procedure of removal of Rajya Sabha, because vice president he is the ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. In short, he belongs to Rajya Sabha, so Rajya Sabha alone can initiate the removal proceedings. Then Lok Sabha it establishes committee and commissions and consider their reports, whereas Rajya Sabha has another exclusive power by which it can um, it can give power to Lok Sabha to make law on the matters of the state list. These are the this is the comparison of power between both the houses. Now let's have a look at special powers of Rajya Sabha. So Rajya Sabha is an institutional mechanism which provides representation to the states. So its purpose it is to protect the power of the states. Then any matter that affects the state it must be referred to it for its consent and approval. So first exclusive power is that any matter which is of regional nature, something that affects states, something that affects the units, then it must be referred to Rajya Sabha. So if a union parliament it wishes to remove a matter from a state list, so and I have already explained, state list is a list of subjects over which only a state legislature can make law. So if union parliament it removes a matter from such list to union or concurrent list for the interest of nation, which union parliament is capable of, the approval of Rajya Sabha here is necessary, because Rajya Sabha is a guarantor, it's a protector of the interest of states. So in the interest of nation as a whole, Union Parliament may remove such a matter. But then here Rajya Sabha's power is necessary, which makes that such issues or such removal or such changes, they are not arbitrary. They must go through the due procedure of law. And let's have a look at power exercised only by Lok Sabha. So Rajya Sabha cannot initiate, reject or amend money bills. It is the exclusive power of Lok Sabha money bills. Then Council of Minister, it is responsible to Lok Sabha and not Rajya Sabha. So Rajya Sabha, it can criticize the Council of Minister or government, but it cannot remove it. And the reason for which is Rajya Sabha is elected by MLA and not directly by people. So that's why Constitution did not give Rajya Sabha exclusive power to remove the members of council, members of House of People or Lok Sabha. And the basic idea was here that the Constitution makers or the members of Constituent Assembly, according to them, people were the final authority and people still are the final authority. So it is the people who should have the crucial power of removing a government and controlling the finances. Then in all other spheres, the powers of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha are co-equal. So these are the power, and we will read about Article 249, 250 and 251 in further chapter or in the GS Polity by Lakshmikant in the upcoming lectures. Then how does Parliament make law? A definite procedure is followed to make law, and this procedure is represented in this flow diagram. So first step, a bill is generated. Then on the second step, it is introduced in either house if it is a non-money bill, because money bill can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. So if it is a non-money bill, it can be introduced in either house, either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Then this bill, it is sent to parliamentary committee which are attached to each house, so that these committee, they can look into the issue, they can provide study and well thought out analysis. Then committee gives its report. Committee may seek the opinion of people and people's input can be taken into account. Then the fifth step, the house, it may or may not accept the report, but if it accepts, a detailed discussion of bill in the house, in a particular house, takes place. Then bill can be accepted or rejected by a particular house, and if accepted, it is sent to the other house. The other house will follow the same procedure, detailed discussion will be there, and it may approves or gives recommendation. If there is a deadlock about the further passage of bill, if recommendations suggested by one house are not acceptable to the other house and the matter need to be resolved, then a joint session of parliament can be organized. But if other house, if it approves the bill, it is sent to president for assent, for signature, and president also enjoys power to send the bill for reconsideration. This bill can be sent back, and if Council of Ministers passes the bill again with or without recommendation, President is bound to accept it. And when President gives his assent, a bill, it becomes a law. This is the diagrammatic representation of passage of a bill. So a bill is a draft of a proposed law. A law which is in the making, it is known as a draft. So When a bill is introduced by a non-minister, it is known as private member's bill. And when a bill is introduced by a minister, it is known as government bill. Then, even before a bill is introduced in the parliament, there may be a lot of debate in the need for introducing such a bill. A political party may pressurize the government to initiate a bill in order to fulfill its election promises, and there are many interest groups, media, citizens forum. They may put pressure on government for a particular legislation. So lawmaking itself is not just a legal procedure that happens only in parliament. It is a work of diverse section of people, diverse section of non-governmental people who may not belong to state, such as interest group, media, lobbies, pressure group, citizens forum, popular movements. So all such non-governmental groups, they may direct the government for a particular legislation. So this is how any act or any legislation or any amendment, it takes a due course. And the preparation of bill itself involves many considerations such as resources required to implement a law, the support or opposition that the bill is likely to produce, the impact of law. Such analysis it takes place on a larger scale. Then in the era of coalition politics, a bill proposed by government, it has to be acceptable to all the partners. And when a government is formed out of a coalition, the inputs or the consideration, they cannot be ignored. Then once the cabinet approves the policy behind the legislation, the task of drafting the legislation begins. First, it is prepared by a concerned ministry. Example is given here. For instance, a bill seeks to raise the marriageable age from age of girls from 18 to 21. So this will be prepared by concerned ministry, which is the law ministry. Then this bill may be introduced in the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha since it is a non-money bill. Then a large part of discussion on the bill, it takes place in the parliamentary committees, and the recommendation of committee are sent to the houses that initiated the bill. And since large part of discussion that take place in these parliament, they are known as miniature legislature. This is the second stage. And in the third and final stage, the bill is voted upon in a particular house. And if it is passed by one house, non-money bill, it is sent to other house where it goes through exactly the same procedure. And if there is a disagreement between the two houses on the bill, it is resolved through a joint session. And after resolution of deadlock, it is sent to the president. But if it is a money bill, the Rajya Sabha, it can either approve the bill or suggest changes, but it cannot reject money bill. And if it does not take any action within 14 days, the bill is deemed to have been passed. And the amendment to the bill, which are suggested by Rajya Sabha, they may or may not be accepted by Lok Sabha. So that's why Lok Sabha has exclusive power over financial matter. Then when a bill is passed by both the houses, it's sent to president for his assent. Then post assent, it becomes a law. Then how does parliament control the executive? So in a parliamentary democracy, executive is drawn from the party that has majority in Lok Sabha. Then any party or any group of people who enjoys majority, they uh, they may exercise power in arbitrary and unlimited way since they enjoy the support of majority. then in such a situation, parliamentary democracy may slip into cabinet dictatorship, where cabinet leads the house, leads the government, and both the houses they merely follow it. So, in order to control the executive, there are many such power which are given to members. The first one is the privilege of parliamentarians, that no action can be taken against a member for whatever the member may have said in the legislature. So this parliamentary privilege, for which is also privilege of speech and expression, because parliaments are a forum of debate, and in order to debate on a matter, on a bill, or to discuss or criticize a particular action, the speaker, whoever it is, a legislator, he or she has to be given full freedom of speech and expression. And whatever they say, it may be right, may be wrong, there may be allegations, there may be crisscrossing, there may be um, some derogatory remarks, there may be some allegations. So all such things, they should stay uh, within the perimeter of house. Nothing should go out. So this is called parliamentary privilege, and the presiding officer of the legislature, the presiding officer of Lok Sabha is the speaker, and presiding officer of Rajya Sabha is the chairman. So both of them, they have the final power to decide the matter of breach of privileges. Then instruments of parliamentary control. So the legislature in parliamentary system, it ensures executive accountability at various stages, at policy making, at implementation of law, or post implementation stage. So in short, it means parliament has a comprehensive right to criticize or to ensure accountability of executive on all stages, whether a bill is finalized, whether a bill is being drafted, whether a bill has become a law, or whether its implementation is taking place. So here it is not that parliamentary control, it is suppressed or it is limited in nature. No, parliament has the overall comprehensive authority. Then this use, it is done by devices. First one is deliberation and discussion, then approval and refusal of law. Third one is financial control, and fourth one is no confidence motion. So all these tools are there to ensure the accountability. First one, deliberation and discussion. So during the lawmaking process, the members of legislature, they get an opportunity to deliberate on policy direction of the executive or the council of minister. The question hour, which is held every day during the session of parliament, in which ministers have to respond to questions that are raised by members of parliament. Then zero hour, when members of parliament, they are free to raise any matter that they think is important, even though ministers are not bound to reply, but they are another such devices. Then half an hour discussion, which members of parliament, they can resort to discuss on the matters of public importance. And here the question hour is, it is the most effective method of keeping vigil, or keeping control on executive, since here in the question hour, members ask question and ministers they are bound to reply for all the questions that have been raised by members of parliament. And most of the questions aim at eliciting information from government on issues of public interest, such as price rise, availability of food grain, atrocities on weaker section of society, riots, black marketing, and all methods that are burning and that are of crucial interest to public welfare. Then the discussion during the question hour are so heated that it is not uncommon to see members raise their voice, walk to the well of the house, or walk out in protest, or throw many such tantrums. So this is not to be uh, seen as a loss of legislative time. These are political techniques to gain concession from government and to force executive accountability. Then approval of ratification of law. Then parliamentary control is exercised through power of ratification. A bill can become law only with the approval of parliament, and since most of the bill they need special majority, which is two-thirds present and voting. So even if the Council of Minister, which includes 80 to 85 members, and the cabinet, which is 10-member group, uh, these groups, whether Council of Minister or the cabinet, these group they cannot by themselves pass any bill, because the passage of bill it needs numerical majority via voting. So even if they have the majority, sometimes exclusive majority will not be there. Exclusive majority means that you enjoy two-thirds strength of the parliamentary or the numbers of Lok Sabha, which in case of Lok Sabha may be around 270 plus. So this number sometime may not be possible. In such a case, government or council of minister it needs the support of other coalition partner or other political parties. So this is one way in which parliament control the executive, and sometimes government has a majority in Lok Sabha but not in the Rajya Sabha, which happened during the Janta rule in 1977 and NDA rule in 2000. Then government it has to make substantial concessions. So Lokpal bill and POTA, Prevention of Terrorism Bill, both were rejected by Rajya Sabha. Then comes the third major device of financial control, that financial resources to implement the program are granted through the budget. And preparation and presentation of budget for approval of legislature, it is constitutional obligation of government. So any council of minister, any government, it is constitutionally obligated to present budget every year before the parliament. So here it has to list both income and expenditure, and such matter they will be looked into by parliamentary committee and comptroller and auditor general CAG. And the legislature it may refuse the grant resources to the government, since any council of minister it has to seek resources via the parliament, uh, resources from parliament, and parliament or the legislature it may refuse granting of such resources. This is one such power. Nevertheless, before granting money, the Lok Sabha can discuss the reasons for which the government requires money. It can inquire into cases of misuse of funds on the behalf of CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General, and Public Account Committees. So these are also watchdog on financial purse, which look into financial propriety of government. And the legislative control here, it is not only aimed at financial propriety, it is also concerned about the policies of government that are reflected in the budget. Then let's talk about no confidence motion. which is the most powerful weapon of parliamentary control. So as long as the government or the council of ministers has the support of its party or coalition of party that have majority in Lok Sabha, here it enjoys power, it enjoys continuation of time. But if such confidence is lost, any council of minister or government, it is bound to resign. So earlier, from 1952 to 1977, and then from 1980 to 1989, governments, they enjoyed continued support, and um, they completed their maximum term. Since if you're not aware, so from 1952 to 64, Nehru was the prime minister. Then from 1964 to 66, Shastri was the prime minister. And from 1967 to 71 to 77, Indira Gandhi was the prime minister. And these sessions, they were continuous without any break. Uh, the death of leaders, it might have provided us a minor bump. Otherwise, it has been a continuous journey. Then from 1777 to 80, it was the first attempt by Janata Party to rule the government, which was not Congress in its origin. But then this government, it did not continue, and from 1980 to 84, Indira Gandhi again came to power, and while before completing her term, Indira Gandhi was assassinated in 1984, and from 1984 to 89, her son Rajiv Gandhi, he was the prime minister. Then from 1989 to 99, this this was this 10 year, it was the time of great coalitional shuffle, in which many governments came, and there were some governments with state power only for 13 days. So it this situation, it was directly in contrast with the earlier situation, which enjoyed earlier 25 years of uninterrupted rule. And so the coalition government, that has a different story altogether. We will read about them in later chapters. But here the thing is, after 1989, several governments have been forced to resign due to lack of confidence. So in this time, from 1952 to 1989, no confidence motion was not used. So all in all, this was around 37 years. For 37 years, no confidence motion was not used, and even if it was used, it was of rare occasion, because the leaders at that time, they enjoyed popular support. But after 1989, when many factors and many governments and many different voices, they started raising their own banner, when they started dreaming about having a say in power. So such massive entry of different factions and voices, it led to haphazard growth of political parties. And many such political parties, when they won the election by little or greater margins, when they entered the House of Parliament and when they entered the parliamentary business, all of them, they resorted to unthought making of coalitions which were not grounded on any basis, the coalitions which were illogical, and the only reason for which two different voices can come together was to have a seat in the government, to have a ministerial position. So such illogical coalitions, they could not last long, and that's why the no confidence motion, it was it came as a tool to it was not only a tool of parliamentary control, but it was also used as a method, as a mechanism to throw the unpopular coalition partner out of power. So the parliament, it can effectively control the executive and ensure a more responsive government. Then let's have a look at parliamentary committees. So another feature of legislative process is the appointment of committees for various legislative purposes. Since each parliamentarian and each minister, they do not have much time at their disposal, since they have many other responsibilities to fulfill. So the the basic drafting and the discussion process, it can be the basic legislative process, it can be done by appointment of such committees. And these parliamentary committees, they not only play a crucial role in legislation or lawmaking, but they also happen to help the House in day-to-day business. And one reason is that Parliament, it meets only during sessions, and there are three such sessions. The every year it starts with the budget session, which is held in month of February. Then the another session, it is held during the monsoon time, during July August, and the end of in the end of a year, winter session is held. So all in all, these three sessions are held in a year. Then, so the reason for the reason of appointment of these parliamentary committees, it is because House does not have much time or time for its disposal, and there are other functions such as studying the demand for grants made by various ministries, looking into expenditure incurred by various departments, and investigating the cases of corruption, etc. And all such functions, they are executed by parliamentary committees. And then since 1983, India has developed a system of parliamentary standing committees. So they do not need to be created and dismembered every time. So such standing committee, they are of permanent nature, and there are 20 such departmentally related committees. Standing committee, they supervise the work of various departments, their budgets, their expenditure, bills, and all such matters. Then, apart from standing committees, joint parliamentary committees, they have also occupied the position of eminence. So, JPC, it can be set up for the purpose of discussing a particular bill, such as or purpose of investigating financial irregularities. And these members, joint parliamentary committee, the members of which they are selected from both the houses, and these committees, they reduce the burden on the parliament, and not almost, many important or most of the bills, they are referred to such committees. And the background work, all the work before pre-voting process. So from taking people's opinion for discussing important provisions, important drafts for inclusion and exclusion, all such work, it is done by these committees. And Parliament, it then merely approves the work done in committee with few occasional alteration. Then how does Parliament regulate itself? So it is a debating forum which is mentioned earlier, and it is through debate that all functions are executed, since there are no other tools other than the motions and methods of parliamentary control. All their chief function, it revolves around debate only. And the debate or discussion, they must be meaningful and orderly. And the constitution, it has provided certain provisions to ensure smooth conduct of business. So the presiding officer of legislature, speaker in case of Lok Sabha and chairman in case of Rajya Sabha, he or she is the final authority in matters of regulating the business of a particular legislature. And there is one more way in which presiding officer, they control the behavior of the members, which is anti-defection law. So the idea here is that most of the members of legislature, they are elected on the ticket of some political party. And if after having been elected from a party, what would happen if they decide to leave it and join another party? So, and this issue, it was unresolved, and many such cases of defection happen. So finally, it was agreed upon among the parties that a legislator who is elected on one party's ticket must be restricted from defecting to another party. And an amendment was made in 52nd Amendment Act in 1985, which is known as Anti-Defection Amendment, and which was subsequently modified by 91st Amendment. So the presiding officer of the House, it is the final authority who takes decision on all such cases. Whether a member has really defected, then such member loses the membership of House. And besides, person is also disqualified from holding any other political office. The definition of defection is if a member remain absent in the House when asked by party leadership to remain present or votes against the instruction of party or voluntarily leaves the membership of the party is deemed as defection. So in short, or in simple terms, there is a party whip. Since parliamentary democracy, it works on the will of people, and in present case of India, this will of people, it takes the form of political party. So that's why we have so many political parties such as BJP, Indian National Congress, National Congress Party, DMK, AIDMK, TMC, and these are not just political parties, these are also voices of people. So any person who has won from a particular party, such as a person who is a BJP legislator. So what will be the case when such defection is really known to have occurred is when on certain important matters, since any party which has majority, it retains control over its members, the members of a particular party who have won. So BJP, let's say BJP has won this number of members in Lok Sabha, and the BJP leadership, it will keep a tight control on its members, on its party members. And this tight control is necessary because on most of the business of council of minister, most of the parliamentary business, it happens on voting system, such as the passage of a law or taking important decision or passage of no confidence motion, all are done by votes. And if any BJP legislator who has won on BJP party ticket, if he remain absent during voting on important matters, or if he has voted against the party leadership, even if it was instructed by party. So when a party instruct its member to take a particular policy stand, whether they are asked to vote on a particular agenda or to refrain from voting, such a policy stand, it is known as party whip. And whoever refuse a party whip, he is known as defector. So this refusal of party whip, it can take many forms, such as legislator, he may remain absent during important votes, or he may refuse to vote. He may vote contrary to the whip given by party, or he leaves the membership of party. In all such instances, they are known as defection. And presiding officer of the House, Speaker in case of Lok Sabha, Chairman in case of Rajya Sabha, they are the final authority on decide whether any person has defected. And if such defection comes, so by 91st Amendment, one-third split group has been added. So by which, if any group which is one-third number of a party, if this group voluntarily decides to split from a particular party, it can be arranged, it can be validated by the presiding officer. This was the 91st Amendment, and we will read about it in more details in later chapter. So this is it. Let's see the conclusion. So Parliament is truly a rainbow of colorful dresses symbolizing different religions, regions, and culture of a country. Then parliamentarians can effectively control the executive by various tools available at their disposal, and this can express the interest of various sections of society. And legislature, it is the most representative of all organs of government, and the sheer presence of this diverse social background, it makes the legislature more representative and more responsible to people's expectation. So that's it. Thank you very much, and kindly subscribe the channel.